Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Okay, as I promised all the time, I tell you what have I been doing. Right, the last when did I return home? Thursday night, I went for a very short trip. The most important thing why I went was because of this. If you see, correctional institution in Hong Kong. That's why I took this trip. That was a very unexpected trip. I got an invitation in early July, and say they invited me to go and give some teachings in the prison in Hong Kong. So I took the offer because that was something that I have always wanted to do. After the talk in March in 2016, and people asked me, "Can you start teaching in Hong Kong in the prison?" I said, "Well, I don't know. If you can line up something, I will do that." It's not that I wanted to go back and live there. It's that I wanted to actually start this. And if somebody could start it and could let it go on for some time, and if I could be able to train up some volunteers who could start going in there to do this, that would be, I think it would be a wonderful opportunity. So that's why I went, and it was a very different experience than the prison here. But the 12 years of prison experience I had in BC actually was very precious because it was a very brief visitation. It was just 2 hours with two groups of people. Uh, these two are social workers, and this is volunteer, and these are the correctional officers inside. Well, welfare officers they call, but they actually are correctional officers who are working for the welfare of the inmates. And these two volunteers are actually constantly working in the institute. And they said, "Wow, you can just reach the inmates like just like this." I said, "Well," they asked me how did I do it? I said, "I don't know. I think it's just the experience that I had in here." And when we sat down, and I just it just came out. It was a very good experience, and you could see the difference between the two groups. The first group was new birds, they call. The second group was old birds. The old birds are really like they committed crime over and over again, so they return back to the prison. So the first group was, the energy was very sort of calm and not agitated. No, so, and they took in the teaching so fast, and they had such a wonderful, inspired experience. Just less than 45 minutes, huh? It was just the session was just less than 45 minutes, but they really took in the teaching, and they said, "Wow, it was so calm and so quiet and so soothing." It it really gave them an eye opener of how they could be going inside and work for themselves. But the second group was a bigger group. There was a lot of agitation and irritation and anger, so much anger, um, and so much so like playful, you know. They had their eyes closed, but they tuck the the person next to them, and tuck their clothes and pull their legs and pinch their hand. it was just it was just amazing. And and so the other person was like, it's constantly like that. So you knew, I immediately knew because they constantly come in and go out, come in and go out, and it was a very not very shocking, but actually surprising. I said to them is, I mean, this is a place that nobody wanted to stay in, right? But one inmate said, no, it's a wonderful place to be in. Of course, I could understand because now in Hong Kong, the situation is really turmoil, in a very turmoil, especially housing. Housing is a big problem in Hong Kong. And in there, the worst is they share a room with one other person, one room, and then they have 3 meals a day, right? 2 full meals, one at breakfast time, one at dinner time, and lunchtime is congee, porridge. I said, how weird. What kind of diet is this? Full meal, rice, early breakfast, full meal, rice in the evening, but congee in the afternoon. I said, what? Really? You should give them a full meal in the afternoon, right? He said, no. That's how the British actually laid down the rules when Hong Kong was the colony at that time. So they never changed it. It was very strange. And then I could see how these people are. Um, they consider any visitors like me as a program, just one program, and they didn't really think that behind the program, the real nature of this kind of program is really rehabilitation, and rather than penalty. Um, Maybe they have been working in there for too long. They sort of getting numb, like everybody could become, and so it was sort of like not depressing, but I expected a little bit more, um, but that's the way it is. It was actually, I think it was actually good in a way, good in a way because it's opened up the door. So hopefully the door will be opened. We are actually negotiating to go back again. So see if that will happen. But at least that was an opportunity. Oops, what is this? Sorry. I think because I was trying to clean up this computer. Sorry. Okay. All right. So that was one day trip, and then what did I do? Oh, I taught a 1 day course, and I went to look at some venues in China for the end of life workshop uh, in at the end of September. And of course, I took a rest. I took a break, which was so good. But and then I went to a funeral of one of my friends before I head back. So now so that was a few days. So I came back on Thursday. So did you miss me? No, not really. Don't tell me that, please, so that I could go away again. uh, I miss Poland too. You know, it's home, right? It's home here, especially when you are in the weather of 35, 34, 34, 35, and blazing sun and bad air and all that. Oh, it's just really challenging. Yeah, but anyway, glad to be back. So we haven't finished the question and answers. So I want to talk about this gender thing. Okay, I gave you a handout 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, and there were two suttas. And when I really dig into one of the sutta, the Sanoga Sutta, calling the bondage, is really not suitable to talk about. It's really not about gender equality. It's more about sexuality, which a big thing also. But we it's really not talking about gender equality, so we can ignore that. We can talk about that later on if you wish. But the gender equality, I really would like you to actually read this Soma Sutta. I don't know whether you have read it. Have you read it? Soma Sutta? Um, if you haven't, I can read it to you now. Setting a savati, that means a place. Then in the morning, the bhikkhuni Soma, bhikkhuni, that means a Buddhist nun, okay? Bhikkhuni Soma, her name is Soma, dressed and taking bow and rope, enters Savati for alms. So taking the bow, getting her ropes on, getting her arms bow out. When she had walked for alms in Savati and had returned from her alms round, she have taken the offerings, and then she came back. After her meal, she went to the blind man's grove. So she went into a grove for her meditation, for the day's abiding. Having plunged into the blind man's grove, she sat down at the foot of a tree for the day's abiding. That means if you go into the Mahayana teachings, it's actually a lot of times they will talk about this. When somebody goes out for alms, especially the Buddha, went out for alms, after taking the alms, came back and had a meal, and they washed their feet, they washed the bowl, and then they would sit down beneath a tree for the day's abiding. That means that for the rest of the day, they go into practice. Okay? Then Mara, remember Mara, the evil one, is called the evil one right here, but it's actually, the Mara, the temptation, okay? The Mara, the evil one, desiring to arouse fear, trepidation, and terror in the Bhikkhuni Soma. So this Mara, this temptation, this temptation could be inside us, could be from the outside, okay? So desiring to arouse fear and terror in this bhikkhuni, this nun, desiring to make her fall away from concentration, approach her and addressed her in verse. And this Mara says something. That state so hard to achieve. What did the Mara say? The Mara said, that state so hard to achieve. What state? The state of enlightenment, yes. So hard to achieve, which is to be attained by the seers, only possible by the seers, and can't be attained by a woman with her two-fingered wisdom. Only 2 fingers wisdom, not 10 finger, 2 finger. That means this Mara is actually what? Looking down upon this woman, this Soma, seeing that her wisdom is only 2-fingered wide. That means very little. And with that little wisdom, a woman will not be able to attain enlightenment. That's what the Mara meant, okay? Then it occurred to the Bhikkhuni Soma, then Bhikkhuni Soma thought, now who is this that recited the verse? A verse came up, a human being or a non-human being. Then it occurred to her, this is Mara, the evil one. So Soma heard this and she thought, hey, who said this? A human being or a non-human being? Then it came to her mind, oh, this is Mara, the temptation, who has recited the verse desiring to arouse fear, trepidation, and terror in me, desiring to make me fall away from concentration. So remember, way back in Dhamma sharing, I told you, what's the whole purpose of Mara?
Distract you from the practice or meditation.
Distract you from the practice or meditation. Yeah? Oh, good. Very good. And then?
Keep you in samsara.
Say that again.
Keep you in samsara.
Keep you in samsara. Yes. Keep you constantly in that cycles of birth and death. going round and round like a merry-go-round, and you never be able to find an exit. That's Mara. Mara is not devil who actually is not devil, is not evil, that actually uh, um, tempts you to commit unwholesome deeds. Actually, Mara could be yourself, could be your own craving. A lot of time it is, not could be. It is your own craving, and it is your own animosity. It is your own ignorance that lead you to behave the way you would be behaving, right? So someone said, "Hey, who's this one?" This is, and then she realized this is Mara, the evil one, who has recited the verse desiring to arouse fear, trepidation, and terror in me, desiring to make me fall away from my concentration. There are 3 steps of practice to liberation. The first step is good, very good. Sila, that means morality. Second step, samadhi. Samadhi, that means concentration and focus. Third, panya, wisdom. So because you keep your morality high, and then you practice meditation days in, days out, whether you're walking, whether you're eating, whether you're sitting, whether you're lying down, you keep that mind in focus and at present. So you build up that samadhi, that calmness of the mind, that concentration, that clarity of the mind, so that the mind don't go haywire. So then with that concentration being built up very strong, very strong, very strong, it becomes, the mind becomes like a very calm surface of the lake, and you can actually see the reflection. You can see the reflection around the lake. You can see what is deep down in the water. It's as clear as the pure water like that. Oh, well, not today, not now. In the morning, if you come, you see the glass of water. So you can see through. It's just like so clear. Okay? Then you will see, you'll be able to reflect upon your own existence. What's the truth behind my own existence? It's ever changing. Everything is conditioned. Okay? Then eventually you get better and better in that practice. You get a little bit more clarity, you get a little bit more understanding, you get a little bit more inspiration, you get a little bit more wisdom. Little wisdom become big wisdom, bigger wisdom become bigger wisdom. Eventually one day you'll be able to let go completely. And you completely eradicate all those seeds inside, which actually keep you in samsara. Yeah. So we are actually our biggest Mara. We are our own biggest Mara, strongest Mara. Okay. So then the Bhikkhuni Soma, having understood this is Mara, the evil one, she replied to him in verses. What does womanhood matter at all when the mind is concentrated well? At that time, there is no more gender. When we are so concentrated, there's no more gender, no more woman or man. When knowledge flows on steadily as one sees correctly into Dhamma, right? That knowledge, that means wisdom. It's not knowledge that you can actually study. It's not knowledge that you can actually read from or hear. No, it's the wisdom that really comes from inside. One to whom it might occur, I am a woman, or I am a man, or I am anything at all. Actually, I'm nothing at all, right? It's fit for Mara to address. So then Mara, the evil one, realizing, wow, the Bhikkhuni Soma knows me. She knows me, and feeling very sad and disappointed, disappeared right there. You see, we overcome, we conquered the Mara by having the right view, by having the right thought and by developing on the right path, you definitely will reach the right goal. If you start off with that. If you don't start off with that, then you will end up somewhere. Then you will definitely end up with a gender. At the end, would you say this Bodhisattva a man or a woman?
Genderless.
We can. Well, sometimes people look at him and say, it's a him. Sometimes people look at him as it's a she. There is really no gender in them. If you are a woman and if you are attracted to feminine figures, then he or she may appear to be a woman. If you are attracted to masculinity, may appear as the man. They change all the time according to our own mind. So way back in the old days, when we talk about gender equality, it's actually a really, really Western thing. In the East, there is always inequality because that's built in the culture. It's in the culture. You agree? So, and also, I think we talked about this before. The Buddha did not have any discrimination on women. He received women into the monkhood, though he made, or actually a lot of, actually quite a few scholars thought that those rules were not made by the Buddha, which rule is called Garudhamma. Garudhamma, that there are 8 rules, Parking Father. These 8 rules in our Bhikkhuni precepts is said to be made by the Buddha. But a lot of scholars actually thought these were made after. These were made after by monks who wanted to have control over Bhikkhunis. Yeah, it sounds right to me too. And the more I looked at it and the more I read about this, I really thought so. But I won't overturn it. I won't overturn a tradition. It's not necessary to overturn a tradition. But I think we need to look at it from a modern point of view. Is really, are women so incapable? Look, how many men do we have here? 3 tonight. They have never outcast us. I'm sorry. It's not comparison, but we look at it now in the modern era. We look at it. We look in the construction field. There are more men than women. And today we had a little celebration with the gas line people. They came. They really gave us a really surprise. They appreciated the way that we have looked after them in the last 3 months. All these cookies because of all of you baking cookies and making bread and everything, bringing goodies. So they really they said they have worked on this project for such a long time. They had never had this wonderful experience with anybody. So they wanted to give us something. You saw that basket. They said, we wanted to give you something that you did not grow. But I said, we have kiwi. But our kiwi is that little. But anyway, it's the heart, it's the appreciation, right? And the supervisor was a woman. Yay! But you see, I think you go into hospital, you see more women nurses than men. But you see more men doctors than women doctors. But nowadays it's changing. Actually, there are more women doctors now, right?
Yeah.
In medical school, yeah. So more women doctors are coming out. In Hong Kong, there are more, so many more women doctors now. And you see, it's changing, keep changing. That's the phenomenon. And there is no inequality there. It's whether one is capable, or one has the conditions. It's all conditions. And why are we born as a woman? Why are we born as a man? Because of the XX and the X, no, because of the YY and the XY, right? It's the gene. If it's X, no, not XX, YY. It's YY gene, then it makes a girl, right? And if it's XY, it makes a boy. And why would that particular infant has XX, no, not XX, XY or YY? Why? Because of karma, because of conditions. So there's no inequality. If you look really deep into that path. But women has the ability to carry a baby. And through that pregnancy, they have to go through a lot of difficulties, physically, mentally. And after that, the women are there to nurse the baby. It's not the men, right? So the women stay home more. More women stay home longer. And so that in that tradition, women are not given the opportunity to go out into the community to work. But it doesn't mean that they are not equally capable. But it's just that the tradition is like that. So, but because of the tradition like that, and naturally, when that happens, then there will be sort of like a status thing, right? Oh, you stay home, you're a housewife, you're a mom, or you're whatever, and I go out to work, and I bring home money, I bring home food, and so eventually, there unknowingly and unintentionally, there will build up this sort of like a status. And of course, sometimes this ego sets in. This ego sets in, and you say, "Oh no, women are not allowed to go in here. Women are not allowed to go in here with bare face, or women are not allowed to go in there with bare feet." So those cultures start to set in, and though actually they bring in inequality at that time. You agree? So in the Buddhist tradition, if you look back in the Buddhist day, I mean, look at Soma. Soma is an enlightened bhikkhuni, and in those days there are a lot of women who became enlightened, and also monks. So in the Buddhist world, there is no such inequality when you talk about practice on the path. But in the tradition, in the cultural tradition, there could be. That could be. And that's really not the problem of the Buddha. It's the problem of the culture. Okay? The Buddha has actually tried to break up that caste system. Remember, I told you the story about uh, uh, the hairstylist. Well, they don't call it the hairstylist at that time. Um, the barber, right? Yeah, the barber. He was received into the into the sangha. But he was in the lower caste, the lowest caste. He was received, and he got enlightened. So at that time, the Buddha really wanted to break up the caste system, but it's not, it's really a historical thing. It's really not just like 100 years, 200 years. It's way, way long in the history. It's very difficult to really break. So for me, for my understanding, and I think for a lot of scholars' understanding, is in the Buddha way back in his day in his time, there is really no gender differences. And when we talk about enlightenment, there is no gender differences. But superficially, on the superficial side, there is gender. I'm definitely a woman. You're definitely a man. You're definitely a woman. But when we start going to this real deep practice, if we look deeply, eventually we have to really check this out. There will be no gender. If we keep on having this gender thing, then it's actually an obstacle for us to actually reach that state of enlightenment. Okay, so and also we have to really implement the teachings of the Buddha into looking at this gender thing. Is all forms are delusion, whether it's a woman form, whether it's a man form, it's a delusion. Our mind already sets in this is a form of a woman and this is a form of a man because this mind is deluded. Yes?
Can I just bring something up? There's a really cool article about how our mind does that. They took a little baby boy and a little baby girl
Yeah.
and they switched clothes
Ah, yes.
and put them back on their blankets. And people people thought they were opposite.
Yeah.
The little girl, which was actually a little boy, they were handing him all the soft girly toys.
Yeah.
So we are pushing the gender. Same thing as what the little girl that was dressed in the boys' clothes, they were given
Legos.
Legos and trucks and things to build the mind and logical stuff, whereas the little girl was getting, like little plushy toys.
Yeah,
And they
yeah,
were really, really shocked
yeah,
to find out
Yeah.
that they were actually
yeah,
been switched.
yeah, yeah.
And to realize that we do this automatically without thought. We genderize our children.
Ah, yeah, yeah. Thank you. That's a very good sharing. So, yeah, it's true. We genderize our children. We genderize ourselves, and enlightenment doesn't really depend on the gender. Enlightenment depends on your practice, on how fast you can actually let go of this gender, right? So, I think in the West now, I think it could be it could be a possibility that in the West this inequality could be broken. It is quite impossible in the East. I think in the West it could be possible. Look, in the West, I could feel if I go into big activities, the Buddhist activities, I am being well respected. And the monks respect me. But if I go back into Hong Kong or China, there will be a very, very strong like segregation. Nuns over there, monks over here. Monks walk first, nuns eat last. Like that, right? Agree? So I think in the West is the West that needs to be not fighting for gender equality, but don't push that gender equality, um, that gender inequality too much, but do it subtly, really, and I think it could turn around the wheel. I think. Yes, Laurie. Why do I think it is impossible in the East? It's too deep. I mean, look at some of the religions. Look at Catholicism. For a long, long time, there were no women priests. Now, still no women priests. Women are only okay to become sisters, or what do you call mother superior, but never be a Catholic priest. Historical. And Protestant is only lately in the last 20 years, maybe, they would ordain female Protestant pastor. They never had.
I'm just thinking, see a difference between the God should be.
We are equal, not in this gender thing. We are equal in the Buddha nature.
Yes.
Yes,
And so to me, that feel like that should be brought into the same respect. And it doesn't.
it doesn't.
And but for say Catholics or Christians, whatever, you don't see it. Well, I don't see it as clearly.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. You're talking about because we all are equal in the Buddha nature. So in the Buddhist world, there should not be any inequality. They don't see it as inequality.
Do you think with the right practice, I noticed myself, it begins to dissolve?
Dissolve these views. Of course it will. Of course it will.
So I'm just thinking in the East, I mean, isn't their own practice, I mean, a very well-known monks or whatever, isn't that, doesn't it start?
It does. It does. I mean,
But it's the other influence.
it
around
does,
them?
but I'm not ruling out that possibility. I have that experience being well respected by monks. Monks receive me as really, really well, but it's not generally speaking. You see, it's really not general, but only like yes,
But I think you're including, when you say East, you're including not only Buddhist countries, we are including in Muslim countries like Indonesia.
of course, yeah, of course,
India, the big
yeah, big Hindu community.
So those two religions are very different way they practice.
Yeah.
When it comes to gender, right?
Yeah,
So in Sri Lanka, for example, we have been a Buddhist country for centuries.
but still, huh?
But we have a lot of Hindu influence because
Yeah.
we were ruled by a Hindu king for a while.
Yeah.
So they brought in this stuff. So, and in that part of the world, I would say Sri Lanka is very progressive, very equal. Gender doesn't. I mean, it's very different from India, for example, any other country. But influence of other religion, major religion in that area is a big thing.
And influence of the cultural.
Absolutely.
So maybe you build up that kind of equality, and then influence come again, and that it goes back to not ground zero, maybe ground one, and then you build up again, and then boom, another influence, or another whatever happens in the community or in the society will bring it back to ground zero or ground one or ground two. So it keeps on changing. It keeps on changing. So I think this is a gender equality thing is just a talk thing. It's a talk thing. Yes.
See, in Sri Lanka, there is some difference when you ordain, right? We have the first woman prime minister in the whole world.
Yeah.
Bandaranaike was a Sri Lankan woman, right? But what has happened is, I think, like you said, most of the women, especially the generation before ours,
Yeah.
like our generation, we all had a much greater opportunity to
Yeah.
be educated. So it
Yeah.
but like the generations
Before us, yes. Yeah.
they were mostly looking after the children,
Exactly.
right?
Householders, yeah.
Yeah,
Housewives, yeah.
So as a result, there weren't that many who could leave and go and ordain.
Exactly.
And even if they wanted to, it was easier for a man to go and ordain
Yeah.
than for the woman, because our nature is to look after the children,
Yeah.
right?
Because
and so you say, oh, we can't do it, we can't ordain because we have these children, that we have to do it. So there weren't as many nuns in Sri Lanka as now, but then now they have ordained many
and
nuns.
also this is a big difference between a man and a woman. It's the attachment to the children,
Yes.
attachment to the home, right? Attachment to whatever in the home,
The
right?
children.
Yeah, children, husband, father, parents, wherever, the woman has this kind of loving kindness. Sometimes this overpowering loving kindness that they can just they can't let go, right? So I mean, even I've seen some nuns who have left home to be ordained, and the children come and visit all the time, and when the children are sick, they are so worried, and you know, so they are ordained as nun, but still it's not that we don't look after our we don't think about our parents. So it's not that I don't care about my siblings. I do care about my siblings. It's that I don't have that kind of ooh, that grouching on compassion or loving kindness on them. Oh, you need to look after. Have you eaten? Blah 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 blah. No, you eat. You eat. You eat. You don't eat. You don't eat. Right. So that kind of motherhood, right? Motherhood, and it's very strong in women because of the physiological makeup of women. And it's easier for men to really let go and say, okay, bye wife, I'm going to get ordained, I'm to become a monk. Maybe in the future it will change. The man will say, I'll stay home, I'll look after the children, you go, and you'll be ordained.
It actually happens here. That there's a lot of house husbands now that the wives are working and husbands are actually staying.
Good. You see changing.
That's right.
It's changing.
You see he's laughing.
One of my friends ordained, but she had 2 children, and she left the children with the husband, and she ordained.
Yeah, you see he's laughing.
Yeah.
Why are you laughing?
We have one in our group,
What?
Sam.
Oh, Sam, yeah, Sam is wonderful. Wonderful father and husband, looking after 3 children and bringing Samuel to meditate every Thursday night. It's wonderful. I think it's nice to be able to switch responsibilities, right? Yeah. So I hope this actually addressed this topic, gender equality. Well, when we look at this gender equality, it's really or inequality, it's really all come into because of this mental interpretation. And that's why I want to share with you this Dhammapada, what Dhammapada verse 360 and 361 says. It says, good is restrained over the eyes, good is restrained over the ear, good is restrained over the nose, good is restrained over the tongue. Why is this? Why? Because what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste would actually what? Feed into the mind, right? And also what we feel in the body also feed into the mind. That brings out good is restrained in speech. What we hear, what we see, what we feel, what we taste, we come out. The mind will express itself in speech and express itself in thought and express itself in body languages, mental languages. So the Buddha said, restraint everywhere is good. And the monk, restraint in every way, is free from all suffering. That's what Dhammapada 360 and 361 says. So it's nice to really restrain ourselves a little bit more if we think this gender inequality is such a big issue in our life. We all kept on thinking it's unfair for the women, it's too much for the men. Restrain it. Don't let it disturb you, because it's a mental thought. and see through this into the deeper truth. Is everything. All of us are arisen because of conditions. And you want to say it's meant to be, it's meant to be because it's your karma. And don't allow this to actually stop. Don't allow this to become an obstacle in your practice. Because one thought could really hinder you. One thought strong enough could really hinder you, stop you from going on this path. All right? Agree? Yeah, of course. You have to agree with your teacher, right? The Buddha, not me, the Buddha. Okay? So, you have any other questions? I think I have answered most of the questions. I think I have answered most of the questions. Oh, one question I haven't answered. I plan to leave my estate to Polam. Thank you. Is there anything I need to do to set this up on your end? No, you just have to write it down in your will. Or just leave it to my executors to make it happen when I die? Yes, because I don't want to go through your jewelries. I don't want to go through your arts and antiques. Because I don't want to go through with your personal effects. So make sure you write it down to your executors. Who are you going to give to your necklace, your jewelry, and just whatever you want to leave to Polam, put it down in your will. I have had a few wills here. I have a few, I think two wills here that people are leaving the estate to Polam, not to me, but to Polam to make this a donation to keep this place going. And thank you in advance for your generosity, and may your merits bring you one step higher on your path. Okay, I think I have answered this question, but I maybe you want me to address this again. Is it ever okay to humanely end an animal's life? An aged and very ill pet, for example, or injured wildlife, or a farm animal, one that is in great pain and suffering as it dies? This is a very, very controversial question. It's just like euthanasia. Is that euthanasia? Yeah. I used to disagree, but I'm rethinking. I used to disagree on euthanasia. I used to disagree with ending an animal's life. If we don't need to end an animal's life, if we could give them enough painkiller to let it finish its animal life, that would be the best. If even painkiller cannot help, then I'm not giving you a yes, then you can think about that. I remember almost maybe 15 years ago, one day I look out after the recitation of that Diamond Sutra in the morning. I look out in the big window in the old nunnery, and it looked onto this big field trees, the field on big, and I saw two white things. One white thing is dragging the other white thing. And I said, "What is this?" So I got a baseball bat out and ran out. It was February. And I saw the dog, our neighbor's dog, was a white dog, dragging a goat, a baby goat, from my neighbors, well, now our land. Charlie's my neighbor, the baby goat, and then tore open her tummy already at that time. It was February, I think it was 9:30 something, 9:30 something. So we scared the dog away. And I saw the baby goat. The baby goat wasn't really groaning. She wasn't in pain. It was so strange. Maybe it was so cold. I think it was so cold. I think the freezing temperature actually numbed the pain. It could. Or shock. Yeah. So we cover her up to here with blankets, and we stayed with her for 2 hours. So we chanted, and then she passed away. She passed away. We put her into a box and put her into the shed, and then I called Charlie. Couldn't get hold of Charlie until 12 o'clock. After lunch, Charlie barged in. He was angry. He was so angry. He said, "This is my baby. This is my baby," because the baby goat lost the mother, and his wife actually bottle fed the baby goat. So it was their baby. And I said, "Well, you know what? Look, Charlie, she passed away very peacefully. No pain, and her eyes closed so beautifully, her mouth closed so beautifully. It was just a smiling goatee, a really smiling goat, baby goat, that size." And he said, "I'm going to kill that dog." I said, "Charlie, calm down. Charlie, calm down. You already lost one life. I don't want you to take another life for this life." And he looked at me. He said, "Okay, sister." I said, "You can report that to the animal people, but don't kill that dog." So he did a report. He did report, and the animal people came and, of course, saw that dog with all that blood all over him, right? So they warned the neighbor, "Do not let your dog go loose anymore." So that was this story. I called the vet. I said, "Is there anything I can do for the baby goat?" And the vet said, "Not really, unless you want to take her in." And I said, "No, I'm not going to move her because I think moving her would cause so much more pain." I said, "I'm not going to move her." And the Dr. Powell said, "Then, do whatever that is necessary for you to do, sister. I have all the confidence in you." Our vet is really, he always say, "Oh, the sister know what to do with the animals." So, so this is how we send animals off. But if really giving the tranquilizer or painkiller, if really it didn't help, maybe, maybe. But I don't call that humanely ending the life. You can call that humanly ending the life, not humanely. Humanly is because of our human mind. I always ask people, if that is your child, would you humanely end their life? So why do we have the right to humanely end an animal's life? But I'm still contemplating on this issue now, more and more, because there's so much more new illnesses and really terrible, terrible pain and terrible confusion. Even strong medications cannot help. So I think it's case to case, case by case. Okay. If you have any more questions, please send it to me. Oh,
I just want to comment that correct myself. I laughed when you talked about
house husband.
the house husband. But the reason I laughed was that, what are the chances of the world becoming that way in the near future? The whole, I totally agree with your explanation of no gender kind of thinking when it comes to Buddhist practitioners like us. I mean,
Yeah.
we are there already.
Yeah.
However, the world is,
Yeah.
what our percentage in the world, like
Yeah.
7 billion people.
Yeah.
And, maybe only a handful of people think like us.
Yes. Yes. We are very rare.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
in that sense, another chance. So that's why I laughed. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be disrespectful.
No, 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 no. It's no. I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to tease you. I was just teasing you. I was just joking. Yeah, it's true. Look, what kind of percentage is house husband? What kind of percentage is that? Right? Really?
It's minuscule.
Yeah, minuscule. Yeah, yeah.
But it is accepted.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
In the West.
Yes.
In the East, it's really not quite yet. No. Yeah.
I have the understanding that the Buddha said that because women are going to be ordained, it's going to set back.
500 years, 1,000 years. That's why you look at what the Buddha taught. I really did not agree that the Buddha actually said this. I myself, I myself, I myself, because look what the Buddha taught. It's just, it just doesn't go with this.
I think I'm not sure if I can answer that question, but at the time of the Buddha, I mean, in India is a big country, and only a small fraction of people were Buddhists.
Yes.
They followed. So
Yeah.
he was talking about
The big picture, the big picture.
Culturally, the rest of the Indian population was overwhelming, when you compare them with smaller fraction of Buddhists. So culturally, just like India and Sri Lanka right now, those days Buddhist group and the non-Buddhist groups in India were probably very strong. And in that sense, culturally, it was a really, really tough thing to do.
Yeah, and also because of the way the culture was and the way India was treating women the way they were at that time. I could see if this is really what the Buddha said. I could see the back picture of it. It's because women get raped, women get raped and killed and being killed because she got raped, and she reported the rapist, the person who raped her. So bringing in women into a man's world, a monk's world, it could be really a delicate thing. But looking from the teachings of the Buddha about equality, I really doubted that he said this. It could be on the cultural aspect.
I didn't even know he said this.
Oh yeah, in yeah.
Yeah. Another thing would be that because his second chief disciple, the female, was raped, right? Uppalavanna.
Yeah.
So he had to then put rules to say that they couldn't medicate in the forest alone.
Alone, yeah.
And who had to look after them? The monks.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Yeah.
there was no one else. Now, most of these people, a lot of the nobility and the princesses were the first 500 who
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah.
And they were looked after very carefully either by their parents, the king,
Yeah.
or by their husbands, or
Yeah.
And then now suddenly this community of nuns had to be safeguarded.
Yeah.
Because the one who
Yeah.
was safeguarding them is no longer their protector.
Yeah.
Now it's the Buddha.
Yeah.
They've been handed over to the Buddha.
Yeah.
And he had to put all these, from those 8 rules, 4 of them are to protect the nuns.
Yeah.
And so these monks who have taken the celibacy vow now have to be walking behind the nuns, being there with the nun to make sure
The
that
protectors, yeah.
to look after them. So
Yeah.
maybe there wasn't it wasn't easy for them too.
No.
Having to protect these nuns.
Yeah.
When they have themselves not yet, I mean, if they're
Not yet enlightened. Yeah.
they're on their way to enlightenment.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It could be. We are just all guessing. All guessing, but but it's a very interesting topic. Yeah. Good. All right. Great. Thank you. So, I show you some of the pictures that we had today. You see, they shut up the whole site. 9 of them came, and they handed me that basket. Isn't that nice?
Wow.
Yeah, he's pretty big.
He's a big guy. He's a big guy. And this is a heavy. And they even took the time to paint the basket. Yeah. And then gave us the card that you all saw. And this guy on this guy, I said at the end, well, how many of you are there? I will give you my book. He said, wow, my wife would be really thrilled. I kept telling her, I said, where's your wife? In Edmonton. I said, bring her down here. Yeah. Is she?
She's going to be visiting for 2 weeks.
Really? Wow. Look at that. That's the woman supervisor there. Yeah. And she had all tattoos on her forearms. Yeah. A very, very, very powerful woman. Powerful woman. Capable. And we gave them back some goodies and the books, right? And so they trooped back to start work. So it was really nice that they came to appreciate that, and I think they were really touched by our hospitality. And thank you for all of you who have baked and made and cookies and brought things that we served them. It's, please continue. It's all your good hard work. So because there is a CCH choir performance, so September is the 2nd, and September 7th is closed also because we have an exhibition, calligraphy exhibition of the late Sze Fu on the 8th, and then the 10th will be canceled also because it's the last day of the calligraphy exhibition. So if you haven't got the tickets to the choir, please get it. This time Quark will be performing too, you know. And so is Yuka. Yuka is playing the cello. Yeah, please go and support them. Yeah. Is it a secret? Yuka is playing a cello?
Not anymore.
It's not a secret, right? No secret. I like to break secrets. And then the calligraphy, the inspired vision, the calligraphy of Sze Fu. Sze Fu is one of the nun who actually, me and her established Polam. She passed away in December 2015. And this is the second exhibition of her artwork. And also there will be some really fine carvings. I told you the wood, the logs could be 500 to 1,000 years old wood. So this is in Van Dusen Garden. So please go and see them at September 8th, 9th, and 10th. Okay. And then work day on September the 3rd, everybody is welcome. And half day Vipassana meditation for those people who have said a 10-day Vipassana course. There will be a half day Vipassana meditation on Sunday, September 24th. All right. Great. So let us dedicate our merits. We bring our attention back to this body, to this breath. And this time we allow this good thought to arise on our mind. For all the benefits that I gather tonight by hearing the words of the Buddha, understanding, discussing about it. May I share all these benefits with all beings, human, non-human, visible, invisible, big or small, far or near. May they be free of enmity. May they be free of miseries. May they start to live in a world with brightness, warmth, experience compassion and love and peace, and be happy. May more and more people will come close, encounter the words of the Buddha, study them, hear them, understand, and find a way to liberate themselves from their own dissatisfactions, unhappiness, miseries, and sufferings, and be happy. May you all have a good week and see you next week.